Society has a very different approach to those who are different from society.
Fulmer is going to discuss for us today the stereotypes that we impose on those with autism and how we can overcome them.
Okay, society's wrongful approaches to autism. Now this might seem a little unrelated, but who here was nominated for the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge? Alright, I'm assuming it went a little something like you saw it on Instagram and figured it would just be a matter of time until you got nominated. Once you did, you posted a video and it wasn't really a big deal. For this 15-year-old boy, it was a huge deal. He happens to have autism, so he's never really involved in anything that everyone else is doing. So when he was nominated, he was so excited that he stripped down into his underwear, got in front of a camera, and began to thank the people who nominated him. But when it came time to dump the ice water on him, he quickly realized that it wasn't ice water, but a combination of bodily fluids, including feces, urine, saliva, and cigarette butts. Some of you might be wondering, why would anyone do this to anyone? Let alone, why would anyone do this to someone in order to bully them for a disorder that they have absolutely no control over? For the purpose of this AP talk, I read through some of the comments below. Am I the only one who laughed at this? LOL, this is hilarious. The people who did this should be paid $20K. Ha ha ha. Retard got spat on. I think the video and the comments speak for themselves, so I'm going to move on. But before I do, it is extremely important to emphasize that this definition comes from scientists. Scientists define autism as a mental disorder that causes children to have difficulties in social interactions, display problems with verbal and nonverbal communication, and exhibit repetitive behavior or narrow obsessive interests. It's important to emphasize that this definition comes from scientists, because autism is not a single disorder, but a spectrum of hundreds and thousands of different severities. So I personally find it nearly impossible to be able to accurately define a spectrum of hundreds and thousands of different severities in a single sentence. I'm not here to talk to you about the science behind autism, but it is extremely important to know that there is a science behind autism, and it's not vaccinations like people originally thought. It does have a lot to do with genetics and environment. It has nothing to do with the household that the child grew up in, the parents he or she had, or the fact that he or she may or may not want attention. People have as much control over having autism as they do their race. I watched a TED Talk by Rosie King. She's a 17-year-old girl with autism. She says that people are so afraid of variety that they try to fit everything into a tiny little box with really specific labels. At this point in her talk, she was talking about the autistic spectrum. Now my take on it is that anyone who is on the autistic spectrum is taken and put into a tiny little box labeled autism. That autism box is then taken, put on the top shelf in the attic, shoved to the corner and forgotten about. No one cares that it's there. She says that instead of punishing anything that strives for normal, why not celebrate uniqueness? Why not celebrate having creativity or being able to speak our minds? Why not take that box down from the attic and open it up and see what's inside, because we might be surprised what those people have to say. A few years ago, I used to teach a class with autistic boys. The three names are Evan, Kai, and Bobby. They have extremely different personalities. Evan was very happy all the time. He was optimistic. He was a social butterfly. Kai was a little quieter, but he was really smart. You could tell him your birthday and the year you were born. He could tell you the day your birthday would lay on that year and be right 100% of the time. Bobby was very introverted, and he never really wanted to participate. He was very self-conscious. These three boys have obviously very different personalities, but the same diagnosis. They are a prime example of being put into a tiny little box with a really specific label. So my theory is that there are a spectrum of approaches, but these are the two ends. First is bullying. You're stupid, you're a retard, you're a waste of space, and all you want is attention. You deserve to be beaten to a pulp and shoved in a trash can. You deserve to have bodily fluids dumped on you. It's all been said and it's all happened. Second approach is coddling. The apologizing to the parents or even the child for what they have to go through. They're talking to the child in baby voice. People assume that people with autism hate the fact that they have autism. But Rosie King, who has lived with autism her entire life, just like anyone else with autism, says that she wouldn't trade her autism or the imagination that comes with it for the world. Now, both of these approaches come from one thing, which is misunderstanding. People are so ignorant to the disorder. And though some may think that coddling is probably the better approach, both approaches actually have very similar effects. See, where bullying can leave physical scars, it can also leave mental and emotional scarring. It can give the child a sense of worthlessness and can lead to depression. Coddling doesn't necessarily leave physical scars, but it does leave mental and emotional scars. It can give the child a sense of inferiority or stupidity, and can also lead to depression. According to io9.com, people with autism are automatically put at a 28 times higher rate of developing suicidal tendencies. 14% of children with autism have suicidal tendencies at least once in their life. According to psychcentral.com, there's a study, 256 men and 118 women with Asperger's, which is a form of autism, between the years of 2004 and 2013, were asked to report any suicidal thoughts, plans, attempts, or any depression that they felt. At the end of the 9 years, it was reported that 66% had suicidal thoughts, 35% had suicidal plans or attempts, but only 31% were depressed. Don't get me wrong, 31%, that's a lot, but depression is not the only cause of suicidal tendencies. But the sense of inferiority or worthlessness or stupidity that these people feel from the bullying and the coddling will only increase their chances of developing suicidal tendencies and give them a sense of depression if they don't already feel it. According to the National Autism Association, there's a 2009 survey where parents with children with Asperger's were asked questions about their children. It was reported that 3% of children with Asperger's eat alone at lunch every day. 6% are usually picked last for teens. 9% have been attacked by gangs and hurt in the private parts. 47% have been hit by their siblings or peers. 12% have never been invited to a birthday party, and 50% of children with Asperger's are afraid of their peers. 63% have been victimized by their siblings or peers in the last year. So what do? We first need to educate ourselves and educate each other about the spectrum. We need to learn about how to treat someone with a higher severity opposed to treat someone with a lower severity. And this AP talk does not count. We need to accept, I'm the way that I am, and you are the way that you are. We need to accept that they have absolutely no control over having autism, and based off of their severity, probably have little to no control over what they say or do most of the time. We then need to adjust. Not only adjust the way we talk to them and the things we say to them, but adjust the way we talk about them and the things we say about them. Because it is not our job to monitor them, and it is most definitely not our job to cure them. But it is our job to give them the sense of acceptance and respect that they deserve. And it is our job to be aware. Thank you.